Oh, Taco Ball Tuesday with a fresh new intro
We
provided
are back.
by my lovely wife, Anne, and her music partner, Alex, known as the duo Anne Eliza. Check them out. Their first intro theme song in the books. You heard it here, Taco Ball Tuesday.
Shout out to Ann Solidonia and Eliza, you said, right?
Yeah, it has been quite a while since we've convened, my friend.
It has been. Been a
Quite busy
little
on
bit.
both ends, but here we are. Better late than never. Off for another season.
That's right. Serving up some hot, delicious, fresh takes on the NBA. Almost a quarter into the season, which is pretty wild.
Games are coming up. That's like the big marquee point of the season.
NBA on Christmas Day, for sure. For sure. Well, Justin, we're into a new season, my man. we
Yeah.
need we need to make sense of some of what has played out. Now, we're not going to get into some of the blockbuster trades just yet, but I want to start with some of the faces who are back on the court. So, want to hear from you
I'm
some.
almost forward to the trade deadline, the off-season trades, the draft acquisitions. I moved past until we talk about, well, yours truly, but we'll get, I'm sure, in the course of the episode here.
Where I want to start is just name, like, I'm curious to hear one or two guys that you're excited to see back from injury, maybe who have been missing from the scene for a little bit and are bringing a new level of energy and juice to their franchises.
Oh, obviously, the most impactful two-way player in the league is back on the court. Ben Simmons. It's
Oh,
playing time. My goodness, what an
jeez.
absolute dominant threat he is. Uh, Playing some decent ball for the Brooklyn Nets.
The reinvigorated Brooklyn Nets.
My, what a disaster that franchise has been over the past 4 or 5 months. Um, but they are somehow holding things together on the court uh, in the East. And I, I don't know. I hate to say he's back because I feel like he's never back because he's back and then he misses like 10 games and then he's back. But Kawhi Leonard has played basketball.
The claw. The
He's been
claw.
on the court. I believe he hit a game winner last night. Um,
Against the Hornets here in town.
yeah, uh, against the CLT Hornets.
Yeah, man. That was going to be my shout. Was just finally seeing Kawhi. At one point, you and I were going back and forth to see who would play first. Would we have Kawhi or another man, Kyrie, back on the court? And now we know
He's back
Kawhi,
on the court. How about Zion Williamson?
that too.
Fitness protection and into the starting lineup.
The man who we were
Dominating
totally
the Western
making out to be a chump. We basically had him on the back of a milk carton. And
Conference.
here he is, looking like his young, promising self.
Who would if you had to do the draft over again? You're taking John Morant first, taking Trey Young.
I was still taking John Morant. I mean,
Over
the
Zion?
yeah, yep, yep. I want to see Zion play longer without getting injured,
Oh yeah, certainly.
and I think, I mean, Jaws just still continues to be electric and dazzling. I think, yeah, Grizzlies are just a ton of fun to watch right now. Like, they're gelling, they love playing together. They've had all these. I don't know if you've seen any of their post-game interviews where they basically have the whole team. So, I like the team dynamic for the Grizzlies right now.
I kind of like the Pelicans right now, holding down the number 2 seed out west over top of the Grizz in the 3 seed. Grand Theft Alvarado. is
And though Alvarado, yeah,
career high. He scored like 50 points the other night for crying out loud. Who is this guy?
and not only did he drop what I think it was 38, but apparently setting a record for the most points for an undrafted player coming off the bench, I think
From the
was the way to
Rams,
do it.
Georgia Tech, baby.
Yeah, and after the game, he was being interviewed, and he's like, "Oh, really? I broke a record." So the dude, I mean, I freaking love his energy, love his energy he brings to the game. Like, ton of fun to watch, and is he's still pulling off those ridiculous steals, which is just amazing to watch. It's like those trick plays in the NFL whenever the returners would be like on the ground
Yeah.
and they would totally psych the other team out. Oh, it's just so delicious to watch.
Did you see the guy try to pull Grand Theft Auto in the World Cup?
No, I didn't.
They were down a goal, and they needed in like the final minutes, and the other team's goalkeeper had the ball, and he hid by the goalpost in the behind the goalkeeper in his own net, and waited till the guy set it down like he was going to go kick it to another player, and ran out and hooked around, but lost his footing trying to do the 180 to scoop the ball back in the net. Otherwise, they would have scored and tied it up in the final minute.
Really? I
Yeah,
did
it
not
was
see that.
totally classic. I'm pretty sure Alvarado retweeted it himself. So make sure tried to pull the grand theft in the World Cup for crying out loud.
Man, I gotta look up that highlight now. That's
Love to
awesome.
see
So you're starting to get into the standings. Let's pull those up here. Let's pull up what we're looking at.
the quarter poll here. Like to look and see who's doing what. Um, do a little trip down pretenders and contenders lane here. And we don't have to go through every team, or we could real quick if you just want to go through one at a time. Who's the contenders and who's the pretenders?
Let's start in the Eastern Conference. Just a little bigger. But first off, before we get to pretenders and contenders, I want to hear just initial surprises here. Who is outperforming expectations? Who's underperforming here in the Eastern Conference, Justin?
Let's see. Outperforming expectations. I'd say Indiana Pacers are right there up at the top of the list. It's hard to say though, because like 13 and 11 isn't exactly some fantastic record, being 2 games over 500. I think there are a lot of teams underperforming. Um, One, Brooklyn Nets down in the 6th seed. 76ers, big underperformers this year
For
um,
sure.
so far. Miami Heat, I know Jimmy Butler's been hurt a decent amount, so maybe they can turn it around. Um, Charlotte, has Lonzo Ball been out?
LaMelo, you mean?
LiAngelo Ball.
It's LiAngelo. Uh, yes,
I
he's still nursing an ankle injury, I think.
expectations were for them to continue to improve, but with him not playing a lot, 7 and 17. I'm not saying it's not possible, but that seems like a pretty big hole to try and climb out of if they want to get into the playoffs. But you're looking at 4 to 5 games to get into the play-in tournament, essentially. So maybe he gets healthy and they get hot down the stretch. But I would have expected to see them a little bit higher. Philly, I would have expected to see in the top three. Um,
Yeah, at least a lot better than 500.
yeah, they're not looking great. Um, but yeah, as I look at a lot of the other stuff, pretty much what I expected. Uh, Boston, Milwaukee, Cleveland have shown themselves to be the class of the East. Whereas last year, the Cavs, I would say, were definitely an overachieving team that felt a feel good story, going with like a three bigs lineup, having 3 7-footers out there at a time. Um, They shipped one of those off, traded some
Franklin.
contracts that were going downhill, and brought in Donovan Mitchell, and I would take them against anybody in the East in a 7-game series. I think they could compete. So I think they're certainly capable of representing the East at the end of the season. Barring any injuries, they definitely look to be every bit a contender this year. Last year, like I said, overachieving, but this year definitely legit.
Yeah, so one quick observation for me is the Celtics are off to a very hot start after what this time last year they were pretty awful to start the season.
Yeah, they
And
turned around and ended up, what, getting the 2 seed.
they totally, went on that tear towards the end of the season. So I know the Bucks are going to be up there. To me, we've got, sorry to diss the Cavs here, but to me, it's Celtics Bucks are in the contender category.
Two
And
of the Celtics' 5 losses are to the Cavs.
okay, hey, we got. I'm just saying, we got a long season ahead of us. What happened to the Cavs last year that caused them to fall in the seeding? It was injuries, right?
Yeah.
So we've got. I'm just still looking at the Celtics and the Bucks, and I think that they're going to be seeded this high once we come close to the playoffs. I think we're going to see a lot of movement in 3 to 6, but I think to me, Celtics and Bucks are contenders, and I think everyone else below that, I need to see more out of before I shift them into that category.
Well, that's your opinion.
I I know you're a little biased. Hey, maybe I'm biased too. I don't know.
Like,
Um,
yeah. You have
okay,
zero basketball allegiance and ties.
so
You're just a sellout and a sucker.
Eastern Conference, not too much jumping out. And the last observation here is, we're talking like almost 9 games separates the number one to the last would be
Yeah.
play in team.
Well,
Now,
yeah, like from seed 4 to seed 11, you're at a 2-game difference. Like literally the Knicks flip 2 games and all of a sudden they're the 4th seed and you're like feeling optimistic. Bing bong, except hello, you stink.
okay, that's enough of the Eastern Conference for me. I want to move to the wild, wild West.
I feel
Why is the West so wild, Justin? Look at the separation from the number one seed.
so the 13th seed
Number
is 4 losses.
we are three. Look, the Warriors in the 10 seed are 3.5 games behind the number one Phoenix Suns. I love it. I love seeing
But
all
the two
these teams that connect.
one losses, you can go all the way 13 seeds and you're separated. Well, they've got Oklahoma City in there with 13 losses, but the Lakers in 13th place have 12 losses. That's 4 losses behind. I know it says 5 games because they haven't played as many in the win column, but 4 losses. Like,
Look at this. It's wide open.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's
Um,
wide open. So help me interpret what is happening in the Western Conference.
you've got 2 bona fide losers in Houston and San Antonio. So
Correct.
that's about all you can nail on. Everything else is just outrageous. I I think the West has regressed and the East has excelled. I think that's, a pendulum swinging, player movement, uh, team development. I think some of the better teams are going to be out East this year for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's see, the Phoenix Suns, for instance, are 16-8. They're 13-5 in the Western Conference, which means they're 3-3 against the East. So you can go down and look at those. New Orleans would be 5-3 against the East. You can see how they sort of stack up. Um, I don't know. It's maybe their West is just beating each other up, maybe not. Um, Gosh, the Clippers 10-10 in their own conference. Um, it's hard. It's hard to say who's.
Total slugfest. Yeah.
And the Clippers are played like Kawhi's played like 3 games maybe. Um,
And I think we
that's
still have yet to
the
see.
fifth seed. The Utah Jazz were trying to tank this year to get Victor Wembanyama, and they made all those
Here we
trades and got
are.
rid of all their players, and all they got was like the grit and grind hustle city out there, like just nonstop competitiveness for 48 minutes. So they've been like incredibly fun to watch. I would say they're probably more in that pretender category, probably trickling out. They had a really hot start, and I see them hitting some rough patches, if not at the trade deadline, continuing to be sellers for guys that are totally outperforming where they thought. So, Colin Sexton going to a team that could use a spark backup point guard, Jordan Clarkson getting sold at the deadline for a team looking for instant offense. Um, Heck, if Lauri Markkanen keeps it up, he's averaging like 22 and like 11 this year, or something crazy. Like I'm like every night I tune in, they're like Markkanen 35 and 12. I'm like, what? I'm like
Double double machine.
going berserk this year. So
Yeah.
I see them being sellers at the trade deadline, probably annoying their fan base by a team who's going to outperform expectations, and then get close to the deadline and be like, nah, we're like a fringe. If they're in that play-in group, they probably end up selling. If they somehow are in that top six, I think it's harder for them to try and justify trading players. But if they're around that 9, 10, 11 seed, I look for them to be dumping players and dumping games.
Hmm.
Dallas, I'm very disappointed in. They never do anything around Luka. Um, they let Jalen Brunson go to the Knicks in the offseason. I feel like they didn't bring anybody in of any value, and that he's the best player in the league, second best player in the league, roughly, and just it seems mired in mediocrity,
Oh,
which
and the amount of minutes that he's averaging right now, like his usage is super high.
maybe they should just bring in Tom Thibodeau to be his coach. So
Um,
that's a disappointment out west for sure. Is the Mavericks are low. The Lakers, they stink. They've been terrible. They're old, and I feel like they got older. Except Carmelo Anthony's not there. I guess he's not in the league. Nobody made a big deal about that. I don't know if he's floating around as a free agent. Westbrook is terrible. It wasn't working. They forced him to the bench. He's become slightly more efficient. Um, but they're totally about to get clowned by the Cavs, 116-102, 40 seconds left. So uh, let's go Cavs, baby. Garbage time. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. He left after like 3 minutes of this game due to flu-like symptoms. I'm like, flu-like symptoms, 3 minutes into the game? Like, didn't you have symptoms earlier? I guess you wanted to try and give it a go and you can't, but like, I don't want to make some kind of statement, but like, I don't know. Whatever. Flu-like symptoms, he can't play. You're allowed to be sick with the flu. You're just not allowed to be totally healthy and test positive for COVID and play. So,
hmm.
yeah, I don't know. But like I said, so like they're going to be at 13 losses now, which is 5 losses out of first place, which isn't like insane. That's like I don't know with a team that low. So um, all sorts of talk about what they cannot do. Uh, in the past couple weeks, Anthony Davis has been a total monster. I think he had like a 44-point game, then like a 53 or 55-point game, and like
Carrying
seven.
the weight.
So he needs to be obviously not averaging over 40 points a game, but he should be on Giannis's level, right? He should be on Embiid's level. And since the bubble championship, we haven't seen any of that out of him. And I would like for him to be healthy for a whole year. I'd like for him to, I mean, he's not even on a Jokic level. He's like, I mean, his defense is far superior, but like he needs to be dominating every night and be an MVP conversation with his
Yeah.
skill set, his frame, his ability.
And we just have yet to see that
Yeah,
for any meaningful period of time.
materialize over a whole season. So I don't know. I don't think they really shake things up or trade things. They probably think they're just fine. They were trying to offload Russell Westbrook. There was talks of the Westbrook for Kyrie. I feel like no team wants either of those guys coming into their locker room or their salaries. Certainly, Westbrook is making far more than whatever he's. I don't know. It's just it seems like a bad situation there, but you don't want to write anybody off when 13 out of 15 teams are still
Sure.
like
Yeah, neck and neck. One final observation. Shout out to my San Antonio Spurs with a winning record against the Eastern Conference here. We've got 4 wins to 2 losses. Now,
great.
granted, we have 2 wins against the Western Conference and 16 losses.
I
But
wonder how many of those are, well, I guess not that many, not all of them are home wins, but I wonder how many of those are home wins with like an Eastern team traveling or if it's on like a back to back, but
um,
games on the
and
road.
all I have to say to San Antonio is embrace the tank. I want to see that. I can't even pronounce his last name, but let's get a good draft pick.
To
Just
get Wembanyama.
yes, just rebuild,
Dude is like
rebuild.
7'3" with like
It's
Irving's handles. It makes no sense. He's so
crazy.
outrageous.
Like every other day, there's a highlight of him doing something absolutely insane.
No,
So,
it's just nonstop.
so those are the standings. Before we get to our triple single counter for our number one favorite man of this podcast, Justin, what's one thing that you are looking forward to this season? We're back in NBA. Taco Ball Tuesday's back. What's one thing you're grateful for? One thing you're excited for?
It's got to be the Cavs. I know last year was a lot of hype. It was a lot of overreaction, and with due cause because they showed the graphic before this game, Cleveland franchise with LeBron and without, and they showed like the 42 years without him, and the winning percentage is like 200 points different, and it's like 4 years no LeBron when he was in Miami. I think they were last all 4 years. I think the 4 years combined uh, didn't have as many wins as his first year back with the team. And then he left again, and they were just totally abysmal. They've struck some gold in the draft and drafted extremely well. They ripped off the Brooklyn Nets for a nice trade to help facilitate the James Harden, Ben Simmons nonsense and ended up getting Jared Allen in return. And then are in win now mode.
Mm.
It's not, oh, well, we'll develop these young guys and see if they can really put it on in year two. No, they went out, they got a bona fide all-star superstar in the league who's averaging like over 30 points a game, more 30-point games uh, in his first year with the Cavs. Uh, I'm extremely excited about their potential, and not just as a like I said, an overreaction to overachievers, but as a legit contender in the Eastern Conference, and if nobody's trying that hard out west, a legit contender for an NBA championship this year. So I'm excited about that. Excited for another year of disappointment in Philadelphia. Maybe they'll finally get rid of Doc Rivers and move on and start something promising. Um, I'm not excited about Boston being as good as they are because I just can't stand Boston. But yeah,
One thing you have in common with the Grizz, hatred in Boston. For me, man, I gotta tell you, it is so good to see NBA on TNT again. I,
oh,
I just I just have to say, there's very few sports shows that will make you laugh as much as that show and just literally like have you in a good mood. Like I saw the clip of um Kenny and Shaq run into the board and he just shoves Shaq right into the Christmas tree
right into the Christmas tree.
and then immediately proceeds to make it up to the podium and then do a breakdown of him shoving Shaq into the Christmas tree. Like I just love those guys, man. I love their passion for the game, their passion for each other. Um, we need more of that right now. So I'm here for all of it. Great crew, and
You know,
probably yeah, probably best show on television. NBA on TNT.
well, it's on right now. And you know what else excites me? The second half of this doubleheader. I just got Cavs, Lakers, game one, baby. LeBron versus the Cavs. Awesome. Cavs victory. I'm all for it. Game two, Luca, Joker. Let's go,
Oh,
baby.
nice.
Primetime entertainment.
Nice. Is that game in Denver?
I don't know.
Probably. Must be.
Yeah.
Late game for Dallas. What's Draymond Green up to? What's
Oh,
our
boy.
triple single counter?
2023 Green, Draymond, just bringing it on. We are about a quarter of the way through the season, as we said. Um, he hasn't even played in all of his team's games because the Warriors, for some reason, have rested all five starters in multiple games already this season. But he is at about the quarter of the way through. He has reached double digits for the triple single counter. So, yeah, I guess that's one thing you can be happy about reaching double digits in Draymond. You are Mr. Triple Single, and uh, you're bringing the intensity every night to the tune of 2 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists.
I think next week we need to figure out what his 2021 to 22 season average was. And I will actually, Justin, be rooting for him to put up better numbers because I think the worse that his numbers are, the better the Warriors will be. So I want him to post amazing numbers and have them lose more games.
Let's
Because
see,
with
last year, triple single percentage,
yes,
27 games out of 62 games played. So he was recording a triple single in 43.5% of his games last year. So
yes, love to see it. Love to see it. And this just further stokes my hope, excitement, pure ecstasy. This could finally be the year the Warriors don't make it far in the NBA playoffs. Please, please.
a couple years where Steph and Clay were injured, and we were like, "Oh yes, they're done.
Is
They're
the
not."
dynasty over?
And
Mhm.
then they came back, and well, we were all severely disappointed.
Well, Justin, cheers to another season of NBA, another season of Taco Ball Tuesday. May your Baja Blast be refreshing. May
Oh,
your Crunch Wraps be supreme. And shout out to your better half for that wonderful intro.